You're listening to the podcast for small business owners, entrepreneurs, and founders who are tired of the client hustle. We believe sustainable business isn't about chasing new leads, it's about keeping the great clients you already have. Let's dive in. Hey, Sam here. I am so excited to be here today with Teresa, my friend. We actually got connected on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago. We had a quick connection call just to make sure we were kind of in sync on things. And I was so excited to ask her to be part of the podcast. I try and bring people on the show that'll allow us to have a different perspective of things and help us see things from a different way. Because I think when we're so funneled and when I talk about client retention or team retention, I have certain things in mind, but when I bring on experts that have other experiences, that's where we can really round out all of the information. So if you're new here, we're so glad you're here. I work with small business owners, founders, entrepreneurs, service providers as they can double or even triple their revenue without even getting more clients by keeping their best clients longer and getting more referrals. And so that's what we're up to. But before we get into talking about team or client retention with Teresa, I want y'all to have a chance to get to know her a little bit. So Teresa, introduce yourself, share kind of maybe where you're at in the world, what you're up to, and anything you feel comfortable sharing about who you are. I'm so glad you're here.
Sure. Yeah. Hi. Yes. Oh my gosh. I was so excited to meet you and connect with you, Sam. You are awesome. And what you're doing is so in line with where we should all be these days in these ever-changing employment times. So your ideas and the way you do things, I just kudos to you. It's awesome. Yay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, I'm Teresa Berg, and I am up here in Minnesota. We were a little freezing here, but now we've been melting quite a bit. So that has been exciting, very exciting for all of us. And so hope everybody is doing well where they are. I do, from my experiences with the different jobs I had, some people know me as the job gypsy. And so I've just kind of brought all of my job experiences together and the goods and the bads. And now I put together this plan to help the, my segment is restaurant owners, but to help them, bring their staff together and keep them there. I just love talking to people, meeting to people, getting all of their stories, learning where they're from. I can't believe all the people that I've met. And sometimes in just 30 seconds, and we've just got this connection. Either we've been somewhere, some of the same places, we know some of the same people, had the same experiences, and you would just never know it by looking at somebody. So yeah, so that's a little bit about me, and I just love doing this and just getting out there and meeting and greeting the people and just
Yeah, that's
helping
perfect.
people. I love to help people.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's great. So you talked about helping restaurant owners basically keep their team and their staff longer and I know that part of how you do this is helping their staff have better customer service type things where they're getting better tips, where they're making more money, and that keeps them longer. But any business owner, whether you're in a restaurant or anywhere, knows that if you can lower turnover and you keep your people longer, your business will be more sustainable as long as you have the right. And so if you have good
Right.
people on your team and you want to keep them, there's a way of investing in them to make them stay with you. And so on underneath your name, you have it says ACE effect. Tell me what that means. And then we'll talk a little bit about how we can talk about retention in the restaurant owners and their teams and that kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. The ACE effect. And so that is accelerated cultural execution. And basically it is, the restaurants or the servers, the wait staff, the bartenders, they go and they work just like I have done over the past 30 years. You get those jobs for the tips. Those are the types of jobs you don't take for the salary or the hourly or the paid vacations or any of those. You get those for the tips. Okay. And it's, you know, closes that other thing that maybe your 9 to 5 isn't getting, or gives you that extra bit of money or whatnot. But servers, they do it for the tips, and people know that. It has been around for years and years and years. And so what we do is we go in and I do an audit, and kind of like a mystery shopper type of thing. But I go on and I do an audit of the restaurant as a customer myself. And I've got 5 things that I am looking at and gonna critique on and leave notes for and things like that. And I also do that even just when I'm out and about by myself, just enjoying myself in a restaurant. Because you do. You notice these things. I'm doing it intentionally these days, but everybody does it because part of your tip that you leave is based on these 5 things, okay? So we're just teaching and helping servers with that ACE effect training. It's not that you're doing anything wrong, it's just maybe some tips and tricks and tweaks that you're not doing or you're missing, or, how the culture is these days with the tip fatigue. People are tipping
Mm.
differently these days, spending
Oh, yeah.
differently these
Yeah,
days.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we just go into this audit, show the restaurants a couple different things that they can do, and the servers are making more tips than ever now.
So great. So if you were talking to a restaurant owner and they say, "Hey, my team is," they come in and they don't stay because they're not making enough money. Is the first thing you would do is do the audit, or would you ask them any other questions?
Great question. Yeah, we would come in and just do, like I said, a mystery type of shopper thing, do an audit, different times of the day, different days of the week as well. And because that all depends too. And we would just pick out different things and, take all our notes on those and notice those from a customer point of view. And then we would give them our audit, and they can see, firsthand what the first things that they can be doing or changing. And then we go on from there.
Yeah. So after doing this for a while, do you have some things that you see that most restaurant staff do, like just one or two quick suggestions that they could do that would automatically help their team? Like something that's recurring that most people get wrong and it's a really simple fix.
Yeah, you got it. The staff needs to remember they're on show. They're
Uh,
on stage all the time. People are looking at them all the time. It doesn't matter if they're standing behind the bar, if they're talking to somebody, if they're talking to a customer, if all of a sudden they're turning and going away, you just notice these things. So perception is everything. And it's one type of a job that you literally you have to leave your personal life on the other side of it.
yeah. Yeah, that's
Because
so
when you
true.
bring it in,
I'm thinking of stores in places we've gone and I've been like, oh, she's having a bad day.
sure.
Right, and I shouldn't be able to know that, and it's kinda sucks, it's hard, but it is the job, and I wonder, this is probably outside your scope, but I'm thinking that if there's some type of routine that when somebody comes in the day, like they're getting ready to start, if there's actually something that could be done to help get the team set up on the right path. You're shaking your head, so maybe it's not out of your scope, but that was my instant thing is like, we all have life and it's hard. And so how do you refocus before you go put on the show?
Yeah, that is great. Awesome insight. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited that you said that and you thought of that, and that was the first thing to come to your mind. And it actually goes with any job, right? But especially if you're doing the face to face with people and the public and customers, is they don't care about you. They don't care about what you're going through. They don't care because what they're going to do is not about you. It is absolutely about them. And so to take the personality and your personal stuff out of it, not personality, but your personal self out of it, because it's not about you. But yes, we do have we're getting ready to put it in an app right now. But basically, it is just like a 5-minute deal that you go through, and there's either breathing or there's
Mhm.
a sentence or a verse or stance or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
that. you know,
Flower, an
yes,
affirmation, something like that.
yes, that you say to yourself. And then you can come back to these 5 things again anytime you need to, in between tables, in between angry customers, things like that that you can come back to and just tell yourself and remind yourself. And whether that's you put something on there that makes you, smile or happy, everybody's in their underwear type of thing. It's like, oh, okay, here we
It's
go.
I can go to the beach this summer
Yes,
and save the
yes. So
money
I
to go
like
on a
doing
trip with
that.
my
Yeah.
family, yeah.
Yeah. So we are doing that. We've thought of that and we're putting that together. And that's just an awesome thing
So
that
good.
anybody can use.
Yeah, that's so good, and I think of it from the consumer point of view, and I know there's actually some people that don't agree with what I'm about to say, and there are reasons that I can see it not being true, but one of the things that I taught my kids when they were little is that if you don't have enough money to tip, you don't have enough money to go out,
Mm,
and so I've heard people say, though, what if the guy is taking his girl out for dinner and they truly are just barely getting by? Does that mean they don't get to go? And I'm like, no, I'm not like a literalist. I'm not so extreme that there aren't exceptions. But the heart of what I say is that if you know you don't have enough money to tip, that's somebody's job that's serving you. You may want to rethink what you're doing. And my son, though, has gone to the extreme, which is very kind of interesting for me. He's 28 now. And when he goes out in his brain, if he's like, I'm going to spend $60 on this meal or whatever he's doing or whatever the amount is, and he only spends 40, he actually still gives the 60. He already budgeted that amount. And I've seen it happen, and he gives these people these tips, and then they're so nice to him, and he goes back to the same people, and they're always so good to him. And I'm like, that's how you build good relationships. You take care of the people serving you, and then they take care of you. And it happens
mm,
in every business, right? It happens
yes.
in every job. If I am the boss and I take care of my team well, they're then going to take care of me well. If I'm taking care of my client well, and then it just goes back and forth. But it's a lot whenever I met you and I was knowing you were working with restaurants and people with tips, I had to really think, how does this work with retention? But it's the very basic of everything I teach comes down to this exact thing that you're working with them on. So I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. One instance that I had was as far as, people staying with you. So you might think that people come to your restaurant for food. Yeah. Okay. Typically, that's the first reason why they come there. Another reason why is because they know the chef, they know the owner, they know the staff. So they're going to come there. But also, it takes one thing, and they're not going to come there anymore, no matter who is working there or how good something is there as well. So it's kind of a double edge. But when I was working at a gas station and I would see these people going off to work every morning. And it was so awesome because I got to be with them face to face at the register for like 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And after being there for a few months, I was able to get people who walked in the door and walked out with an actual smile on their face. It was so exciting. And when I went to move just down the road to the next store, same company, but next door, a couple of miles away, and some of them I was out of their way, they followed me. They actually followed me.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. So that's a heads up for businesses. If your staff is doing good and they're feeling good and they're liking the community and the clients that are coming in and that type of thing and the customers and all that, you know, that's another good thing. So, the backup, are you backing them up? Are you giving them what they need? Are you actually listening to them?
Yeah. My
So
daughter,
that's huge.
oops, my daughter, and she has two kids. They're 12 and 7. My grandson's he'll be 13 next month. I have no idea how that happened. And I'm still a little shook by that. But they have been going to the Chili's in their community for years. And there was this guy, this server, Johnny. And like Johnny knew like from the boys from the time they were little. And then Johnny ended up working in the bar instead of on the main floor. And at Chili's, you can sit in the bar area without drinking or whatever. So my daughter and grandkids started sitting in the bar so Johnny could serve them. And then Johnny actually moved out of the state, and so they still talk about Johnny,
Oh my
right?
God.
And it's just so funny. And so it really does happen. And so how your servers show up, a lot of times that experience is the first experience with your brand before they even take a bite of the food, right? And so if you're wanting to
Absolutely.
build a retention as a business owner, making sure that your staff is fully supported and they're showing up in the way that they need to is critical. And this is a niche that I would have never ever even thought of. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Back to, I do remember hearing what you said earlier about if you don't have enough money to tip, then you don't have enough money to go out. And I do remember that back in the day. Tipping these days has gotten, in my opinion, out of control. And like you said, some people might not like what I'm saying. I don't really care. It's the truth. Tipping in the industry now has been degraded and been diminished and been blown up as another way of making up for my income in non-service related businesses. And
Yes.
then that puts such a strain on the
They're
people
tipping
who are
on
actually
everything now.
working it, who are actually slopping the dirty dishes and, putting the miles on their legs and their feet and carrying the heavy, stuff and everything. And it's too bad. I'm so sad.
Or could never do what they do. I am so
Yeah.
thankful for the servers because I could never, ever, ever do it.
Right,
Um,
right. So I'm so passionate about this to bring it back to them because they absolutely deserve what the tip is and what it was meant to be. Yeah.
so server, he serves legal documents, and on our invoicing system, there's a little button that says include a tip, 5, 10, or 15%. And I hadn't seen that before. And so I actually turned it on a couple of invoices just to see what it would look like. And this one lady gave him a $5 tip. I didn't expect that to happen, right? But that's what you're talking about. Industries that should not be asking for tips are asking for tips, right? Or that it's expected in a way where before it was something that you naturally gave because you knew that's what you were supposed to do. And I wonder if that happened, especially in the restaurant industry or other server type industries, is because people stopped tipping, so they automatically add it in now. I don't know how that started happening. Because even on some places I go and there's like less than a party of 8, I know on a bigger party they automatically add stuff in, but on some of the things they automatically add a tip in without, and I'm like, well, I would have given you more, but if that's what you want, right? And so I don't know where that came from.
I feel like it hasn't been going on that long. And I don't want to say 2020 was the start of everything, but I can't put my finger on it. But when I have to stand and order my food, bring it to my table, throw away my dishes, I'm not leaving you a tip. I'm not doing it, you know? It's not my fault. I don't know, and I think I need to propose this out to people who work in those types of food industries or even the people online now who I wanna try to buy a blanket from online, and at the bottom, you are asking me for a tip. You are suggesting how much it should be, and then each of those numbers, amount, now you're telling me what I'm saying to you with that numbered amount. And that's very presumptuous and that's very, oh my gosh. I mean, I
I,
haven't
I
seen the
think
product
my
yet.
tip would be raise your prices to what you want.
Yes, I will pay more, but as soon as you ask me to tip or any of that, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not ordering from you and I'm telling everybody about it because that's not what tipping is supposed to be
Right.
about. And it's just taking away from the people who are actually doing the hard labor that they are. And they're doing this to there's some of them are struggling. They're paying off school bills or they're trying to be an actor or, the typical big things that people talk about. But single moms with that's their second or third job, and they're trying so
Yeah.
hard to do this physical labor. We're actually turning tipping. I might jump ahead here. We're actually turning tipping upside down.
Oh my
Okay. So with my TCI Tipping Cultural Index report, all right, what we are doing is on those five things that I'm going in to do an audit on, you can actually put a dollar amount to it. So let's say we're going to put a $5 amount to each of these things: atmosphere, server, food, those types of things. Okay. And it's not going to be about the amount of the bill anymore. Because in the end, why should it be? If I got crappy service, crappy food, why am I still going to leave you? I can't think right now, but 20 bucks on a $60 bill, whatever the heck it ends up working out to, just because that's how much the bill is. What if I have wonderful service? I don't drink, so I'm just going to have some water. And then I'm so full, or we're going to another place. I'm just going to have maybe some french fries or something. And my bill is only going to be like $7. Why should I only tip you whatever that is, you guys? I don't
yeah,
care. I'm not a math person.
$2. Yeah.
And this is part of it, too, is I hate trying to figure out, well, are you a 20 percenter or an 18? Well, no matter
Yeah.
what, it's going to be $2. So now do I look cheap and and I'm not going to get so good service because they know I'm only ordering french fries. But you were good to me. You were nice to me. My water was never empty. I mean, the fries were hot. They were on time. You're getting a $25 because that's what
So
I
I,
put
I
these
have
five things to.
I have an example of that from about a year ago. I went, where did I go? Oh, I can see it in the name of the restaurant, and I can't remember what it was now. But I was just there for a snack. I had gone next door to Sally Beauty Supply and got some stuff for my hair, and I just went, oh, Cotton Patch. I went to Cotton Patch. It was right next door. I don't know if they have those there in Minnesota. But, and so I went in and I was just getting a snack and I got like their small veggie platter thing where you could get like two veggies and I got a tea. And so my total was like $7 or $8. And I gave the woman a 20 and told her to keep the change. And you would have thought I bought her a new car.
Yeah. Yep. That's wonderful.
And so like I think about it in a way of when I'm giving a tip, and typically what I do, this is if I'm out and I'm trying to base it on the thing, our tax rate is like 8.5%. So I usually take the tax, double it, and round up, right? And so that's close to 20%. But when like if it's if my tip would then be, $4, would it is that $1 really gonna hurt me if I went ahead and did 5? But what is it gonna
Mhm.
do to give them the extra dollar, right?
Right.
So I think I try and think about that. And so I know that for small business owners, especially mom and pop restaurants, some of these bigger chains, they have people applying all the time and it's one thing. But for the local business owner who is a restaurant serve and has servers coming in, man, I would love to figure out how to get you connected to them. Are you able to do this stuff remotely, or do you have to go in? You don't have anybody that could come to Texas and do this, right? You do it all in Minnesota.
You know what? I love Texas and I love to travel, and my kids are everywhere. And I've been in the military, so I got friends and family everywhere. And
Okay.
I love traveling, and Texas even more.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because my thought is that as a small business owner, we work so hard. One of the things I teach is that we work so hard to get our clients. And then, like you said, one little thing could go wrong and they're never going to come back. And
Right.
so figuring out how to be proactive on the front end to build in client retention from the beginning, even from a restaurant's point of view. Yeah, this is just a whole niche I had never thought about. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited. And I was going to say, yeah, we would talk about retention after we talked about your stuff, but this was all retention. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not separate. It's all building in retention.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Because, I
great.
mean, you got your people who are gonna go out, they go out every week, type of thing, and they go to the same place every week. And those bartenders and those servers, just like you said with Johnny, they know who those people are. They get this relationship going. And, it just keeps both of them there, you know? And the restaurant owner is not losing out, whether Johnny gets 10 bucks or 100 bucks, they are still coming back and they're possibly ordering more and they're possibly coming back more and they're possibly telling other people. who are bringing in more. So, not only, your servers do you want to retain, but also your clients. When I saw and went to a restaurant one time, we just moved here, so I like going around to different restaurants and just knowing my neighborhood and my area. And we go about 4:30 usually because we're kind of older and it's nice and slow. And we are so
That's my
smart
favorite
because
time.
we are so smart because nobody else is there. So we know we're gonna get service and food,
Yeah, I know. That's what we
but
do.
the servers are just hanging out. And they come to us one time and take our order, and they don't ever come back again and get our drink order. And, just little things like that, we haven't been back since. It's like, I'm not an idiot. You were empty. There is no reason why you could not have come back to us even too many times, you know, but for some reason you chose not. So I think that's the other missing thing that I really want to hammer in on. I grew up, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean.
Yep.
And when you're just standing there doing nothing, I want to get into their heads. What is going on? Why don't you feel like you need to be looking like you're working? Why don't you want to go back to that table? Why don't so that's big, and I would love to hear from everybody. Please, everybody.
Yeah.
I want to hear these things because that only makes how we teach
What
and
one of
how
our
we
favorite
train.
Yeah, one of our favorite places we like to go near us is a home cooking place called Dale's, and it's in Wahlberg. So if you're watching, go to Dale's, say hi to Dale. And he's always so personable. Like one time we went in and it was his birthday and they were doing a thing and he actually was going around talking to people, the customers there. It's the kind of place that when it's full, they have these big tables and that would seat like 8 people, or even some of them are just 4, but they're full and they're bench seats. And we've gone in there 2 different times where it's been full, and the families that were there will say, "Come join us," right? It's just a really friendly place.
Awesome.
And we have always had great service. But one thing I noticed that was very interesting, what you're talking about with the servers, and they're all great, but when they're standing back there together, they're looking away from
Mm.
the dining room. So if I'm trying to make eye contact with
Oh yeah.
someone and they're facing the other way, it's a simple little fix just so that they can still stand there if they're doing their little chit chat or they're not busy, they're waiting on food, right, to come out because their service is always good, but they're not looking towards us. And that's something probably you would notice and be able to say, hey, get your team to turn around. It's an
Yeah,
easy
yeah.
fix.
I think it's the same way if you've ever been whatever industry or profession you've had, they say what doctors and nurses are the worst patients, you know?
Mhm.
And me after being a server, I'm the worst, not in a bad way, but I notice things as a customer, It's like, look, I know you're not supposed to bend down and take my order. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that. But Old Main Eatery in Elk River, they're another small town cafe. Whenever we're traveling and driving around, we look and drive into those small towns and look for that
We
local
love,
cafe
we
because
love.
they have the best service. You don't walk around with your hands empty. This is decaf, this is regular, and your cup is never empty. And you never have to ask. And it's from the olden days, seriously. But I tell you what, it's that little thing. And I keep going back.
Yeah, it's so good. Good. So, so good. Right.
Yeah.
Wow, my brain is thinking like, now I want to go to Dale's. I'm gonna have to message my husband. We haven't been there in a little while. They have such
Really?
good help. It's so good. All right. Well, I'm so glad that we're connected and that everybody watching got to hear a little bit of a different retention kind of tip or thought, but it applies for any business, not just business owners that are like restaurant owners, right? Anybody, if you have a team and they're serving your clients, whether they get tips or not, how they show up matters. And so I'm so excited to be connected with you, Teresa. Do you have any closing thoughts or anything that you wish I had asked that I didn't, or anything you'd like to share as we wrap up today?
Oh my gosh. No, this was great. This was awesome. And if I can mention this was my first guest appearance on a podcast. So thank you so much, Sam. I love your curiosity and I love you reaching out to people. It's great and it just brings so much, energy to people and, you know, gave me a whole bunch of more things to think about as well with you. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. And no, you did awesome. I couldn't think of anything. I can't wait till I have you as a guest on mine.
Remember, the fastest path to growth isn't always the next new client, it's strengthening your relationships with your current ones. And if you want to be a guest to share your tip or get personalized retention advice, check the show notes for details. Thanks for listening.